Alright, we're back from our Beyond Skyrim Bruma. In this episode, we're actually going to review the mod. I know, this is like part 38, 39, I think. So this is actually officially the longest running mod review session thingy-boop on my channel ever. So that's actually really surprising. Before that, it was Beyond Reach. And before Beyond Reach, it was Fallscar. So there's that little tidbit. Anyway. So, what do I think of the mod in its current state, of course? By the way, I'm on version 1.3, which fixes a lot of bugs, which we'll get to talking about. Oops, that's not the key I wanted. I wasn't even pressing tab. That we experienced, I think, a delicate thingy-boop, the one with helping Adius and the Talus worshippers. I think that was fixed as well, so, hey, Mud Crab. So, let's talk about the pros of the mod. So, obviously, we have the huge new area to explore. We got the entire county of Bruma, which is supposed to be... I forget exactly how big. I think it's supposed to be 2 or 3 times the size of Solstheim, and I think Solstheim's just over... I think it's like 2... Jarldoms? Is that what you call them? In Skyrim. 2 counties, I guess? I don't know. The word's escaping me right now. Minotaur! Welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Your Venus is hanging out. Anyway. So, there you go. It's huge. Obviously, there's tons of unique dungeons. All these dungeons were pretty damn unique. We, of course, have Bruma, which is the main attraction, and it is an open city. Which I still don't know really how I feel about it. I guess it's really going to be, we're going to have to wait and see, really, of how I think about it as the mod progresses. I don't really know if that was truly a good design decision for lower end users, but supposedly when they loaded it up, there was like no difference between a celled version and a non-celled version, which is what we have now. It's just part of the world space. So, I don't know. Obviously... Okay, Skyrim. You do that. I was just... Oh. Yes. This is nice. Very good. Oh! I'm ascending... What the fuck, Skyrim? Alright, I'll just load a save. That was weird because when I loaded up, I changed my INI file to be correct after the borders, and it was like, oh yeah, well, actually, it's wrong. It still lets me walk the borders here, but not over there, I guess. I don't know. I guess it just needs time to update, but whatever. Anyway, after that spiel, yeah, so I still don't know how I feel about that. Were I to take a guess, I'd probably recommend having the Imperial City almost definitely being sold off like it was in Oblivion, because we're talking, the Imperial City's huge. I don't know how that's going to run. Obviously, for those of you who don't know who I mentioned previously, they're not going to be continuing to update the mod with, with Old Rim in mind, so this is all we're going to get for Old Rim. Only the special edition from here on out. Which again, I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I can obviously see the reasons behind that. I would have liked to see them at least try to continue with Old Rim and seeing how it went. If there's really that many bugs, I mean, what could you do? Obviously, but I would have sincerely just tried sticking it out, but that's just me. Maybe it's because I'm really attached to Old Rim. And SKSE 64-bit is still not out. So I still can't port some of the more important mods, but there's that. So yeah, that I wish obviously it would stay on Old Rim, but what can you do? But I still think would recommend trying to sell off the Imperial City. But again, I could be wrong, and that's completely up to them. I guess they'll see once they're fully complete with the Imperial City, with all the NPCs and all the dialogue going on and the scripts being run between the different NPCs. So I guess we'll see then. but that's in the future, which it is not currently the future, contrary to popular belief. It's only 2017, July 13th, at that matter. Anyway, back to the review. So obviously we have tons of unique weapons, armors, and whatnot, all custom meshes and textures. Like I said previously, I was really impressed, particularly with the steel sword and how actually accurate and realistic it is. They added the stables as a map marker with this version of the update. I don't know why it wasn't previously, but what can you do? But yeah, that's really cool, because with the steel sword, again, for those of you who, I don't know why there's a werewolf here. It's not even nighttime, Family M&M. Oh, Rip Farmer. Never forget his spaghetti. What's his name? Oh, Jesus. No! My name is Jim! Oh, he's not there. Anyway, with the steel sword, obviously, unlike many Skyrim mods with swords, it's actually a realistic sword, because it had, the peen, which, again, many swords in Skyrim just simply don't have. Like this, there's no peen in this sword, not really, but it's an obvious peen, which is a very realistic sword design, and that's how many swords are actually made, and that's especially how a huge majority of swords were made back in the medieval era. Today, I mean, obviously there were threaded pommels. For those of you who don't know, a threaded pommel is kind of like a screw-in pommel on the sword. They existed, but not to the extent of which they exist today. Like shoddy manufacturers like Dar'Taqto usually make, I think the vast majority of their swords have a threaded pommel, which is just not a good idea. It breaks, and it's just not a good time. A peen, which is where they hammer the tang in order to seriously get the pommel in straight and not let it get loose, is a very accurate and authentic way that swords were made, and I'm glad that they took the effort to actually put that in. So, I mean, that clearly shows that whoever is designing these clearly has at least some basic knowledge of sword design, or at least they have seen enough swords to realize, oh, this is a peen thing. This is actually, it appears to be important. I don't know what it actually does, but I should probably add it. So, I mean, good on them. I mean, whoever designed the steel sword, really props to you with that accurate design. Whom the fuck are you?
I'm not a bandit anymore.
Okay.
I've left that life behind me.
Dar'Taqto.
Damn if the shadows of past cling to me like
Again, so obviously there are the more custom things like Garridan's mithril helmet, which I believe is from the Maddie mod, which I forget what it's like, Maddie 273 or whatever it is, who also made this Legionary Vanguard armor that I have here. By the way, Maddie, if you're watching, port this, please. I don't want to do this myself. I'm having problems. Anyway. And there's unique enchantments on these unique items, which I wish there were more of. In fact, I'll get onto that in a bit. I do wish that the unique items were more prevalent, because they're really not in this version of the mod. I think, really, when the mod comes truly, I think that they will be more prevalent, but right now it's just, there's maybe a dozen unique weapons and armor. I would like to see a lot more. Anyway, back to one more positive. There's custom followers. Again, I think the only one that I have seen is Dar'Taqto, but there could definitely be more. You missed. So I would like to see more followers come with the mod, and like I said previously, when I had Dar'Taqto follow me, I would like to see these followers expanded in the way that Interesting NPCs does them. So for those of you who don't know, Interesting NPCs, which is one of the largest mods on the Nexus, splits the followers that they add into two very broad categories. There's the regular followers, which have dialogue lines of equivalent of like Neol or Ayla the Huntress. So, you know, they have like 50 plus, 100 plus dialogue lines. And then they have the super followers, which has, you know, thousands of lines of dialogue and will comment on the quests that you're doing. So I would like to see them separate those followers into that sort of category and have at least a few super followers which will really interact with the player and make for just a really good experience. You know, maybe have, you know, for instance, I'm just making assumptions here. Jaeger, or not Jaeger Tharn, he's long dead. But the Tharns, who I'm assuming you're governing Shade and all, you know, let's have a super follower for him who, you know, is loyal to Tharn, and he will comment, you know, and assuming you want to get the Tharn crowned as the Emperor, he'll be like, oh, you know, oh, well, this Count of Leowin's a real prick, we should kill him. And you're like, oh, yeah, and, you know, he'll comment on the quest you're doing, and if you go too far in one direction, say you want to help the revolutionaries in Anvil, he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna just kill you now. You're not supporting Tharn. Yeah, I'm gonna kill you. And, you know, you can get like a speech check, but I don't think that the followers should continue to follow you if you know, you're gonna stay true to these revolutionary ideals. You should be like, okay, well, you know, we're friends, but, you know, I'm not going to kill you because we're friends, but I don't support this ideal, so I'm not going to follow you anymore. It's been a great time. You want your things that I'm carrying around for you? Something like that, I think, would really just add to the experience. And I would love to see that expanded. And obviously the whole mod is voice acted. There were some errors, but according to one of the devs who was on my channel, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your name right now, I'm blanking. But those have all been fixed, so the mod is now 100% voice acted, although it was, but, you know, the lines were just missing. But, I mean, so it's always good, and the voice acting quality is pretty consistent. With some mods I've played, it was very inconsistent. You'd have really good voice actors, you know, with really good mic quality. Then you'd have voice actors which are sincerely trying with a bad mic quality, and then there'd just be bad voice actors with bad mic quality. And you know, here it's very consistent, it's very good. I don't really have many complaints. I'm really not noticing too many of the same voice actor, which is really good. So you can tell that they're spreading the voice actors pretty well. I mean, again, I think the only ones that I really noticed were Rumarin, and I know him. I don't know if this is supposed to be here, by the way. We might be across the border. No, I don't think we are, actually. Rumarin, because I know him from interesting NPCs. Hello? I don't know why this isn't a map marker, but whatever, I really don't care. This is probably going to be with the serious quest when it comes out. Rumarin and Daniel and Castiglione, and I know her, again, because I know her from NPCs and interesting NPCs. And I noticed Adius' voice actor, I don't know his name. I've seen him a few times just as a guard, which I really don't care about. I mean, that's his persona. I really don't care if he's a guard. But again, the voice actors were very well spread out. That's what I'm trying to get at, and it was really well done. Another thing that I really enjoyed was how really non-overt the main quest is. Now, again, some people are going to really disagree with me here, but I am actually quite in favor of this. So obviously, when we came here, there was not really any direction once we crossed the border. All it said was get to Bruma. Alright, but you don't even have to go to Bruma. You could go to, like, France if you really wanted to. You can't go to France in this mod, I'm sorry. But, regardless, is that, you know, there was not really much direction. But once you started doing things, you got the feel of what the main quest was. And that was obviously, in this iteration of the mod, Adius and the Count, getting all that done, and eventually Adius being captured by the Thalmor and being brought to Blue River Prison. You know, I like that idea because it really just throws the player out. You know, you don't know what the major players are here. You don't. I mean, obviously, all you know, again, from your character in Skyrim is you cross the border. Now, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean which border. I think we all assume that it's probably the Cyrodiil border with the proximity of Falkreath and everything. But again, you don't know if your character's natives from Cyrodiil. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. You know, but Dragonborn doesn't necessarily know the political climate in Cyrodiil. There's no particular reason that they should. They have been in Skyrim the whole time. Skyrim and technically Morrowind with Solstheim. Dude, fuck off, alright? You know, there's no reason that they would know what to do when they get here. You know, the guard gives you some tips, and you're just kind of thrown into the action. Kind of what happens in Morrowind. You're kind of told, oh yeah, go see this old blade out in, I forget what the town is. You know, go check him out, if you want to. And then even when you get there, he's like, oh yeah, go and do some, pretend like you're in the fighter's guild or something. Like, okay. You know, and there's, you know, you still don't really have any direction, and it's just good design, because you don't know what the hell's going on here. You don't. It's logical. I mean, you just don't. And I think it's just good design. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Moving on, we obviously visit many old places in Oblivion that we once saw. We're not supposed to be here. .mp4, but yeah. Actually, let me just see if this board is correct. Again, this would be my Skyrim if it doesn't be like, oh, you need to stop right now. I'm pretty sure this is my Skyrim bugging out again. Yeah, almost 100% positive. Oh, no. I guess you can, like, really go really close. That's kind of weird. Ooh. Frames just got ripped. But yeah, it's really good. Like, I like how they reimagine almost everything from Oblivion. Bruma is still not the same city that you saw 200 years ago. I mean, it's not. You know, the Geraldine Inn is there, Northern Winds is there, Fighters Guild, Mages Guild. You know, those are there. They are present, but they're different. And you know, even when the Restful Watchman, I had no idea it was where the poor, I use the term loosely, I guess technically it is poor, section of the town is. It used to be right next to the main gate. I don't remember what it was called in Oblivion. It used to be right next to the main gate, and I was confused for a bit. Oh yeah, because the town changed. And I think that's just really cool. It just shows that it's just not a copy paste. And it's just good design. It really is. It's just, they're not copy and pasting everything. They're reimagining it. Because, holy crap, places change. If you were to look at, for instance, I'm from New England. You look at New England 200 years ago compared to today, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? It was like mill towns back in the 1800s. Today, it's the thriving center of science and technology and everything. And, it's radically different. And here, it's obviously it's not that huge of a difference, but it is a difference, and it's noticeable, and I am very appreciative that they didn't just copy and paste everything. And I would like to see that obviously continued throughout the mod. And again, you don't even have the same house that you buy in Oblivion. You just don't. It's a completely different house. Although, personally, this is a very personal taste. I would like to see a return of the Haunted Mansion that you can buy in Anvil. Just saying, I loved. Whom the fuck are you? Oh, that's an arch. Nope, no thanks. No thanks. I would like to see a return of that mansion, but that's just a personal preference. And all these serious quests are actually marked as a sort of serious quest. Like if we go down here, service rewarded upon my honor, the way home, a delicate situation, and all that. Oh, hey, a zombie. We haven't seen many of those. Hello. I don't know why this isn't marked either. But, yeah, the quests are really separated pretty well. Oh, here's an Oblivion gate. I was going to talk about this. Good to see at least one is here. I was actually going to have a comment on the Oblivion gates. Not really being present, but I'm glad that at least one is. I would like to see the Great Gate. I couldn't find the Great Gate. Could be here, I don't know. Anyway, but the serious quests are actually marked And the miscellaneous quests are marked like miscellaneous quests. Just some mods don't necessarily do it that way. Some just make them all, you know, like a major quest. Like it's all, you know, a delicate situation. The screeching songman. You know, it's like that. You know, they're all kind of major quests and not miss quests. But here it's separated pretty well, and you've got a good balance of, you know, these serious quests, which have you do this, there's interesting characters, and there's just fetch quests, which I'm okay with. There needs to be a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a mixed bag, so it works. Because if it's always fetch quests, it's boring. If it's always, you know, these intense quests, you know, there needs to be something to relieve the tension. There needs to be something in order for the player to just do on the side and get some cash. And so it's just good design. It's a very good boom. And obviously, in this mod, I think when I'm comparing it to things, major quest mods, kind of like Beyond Reach, for instance. I don't want to actually make this comparison. But, you know, there are a lot of memorable characters in this mod. You know, in Beyond Reach, I think there were a few, but here I just remember a lot of characters. You know, there's Renod Eventone. I loved him. He was fucking hilarious. His entrance was amazing. You know, he's this old crazy man with this fucking pointed hat on, screeching at the top of his lungs. He was awesome. And you got a whole quest revolving around him, and it was fantastic. You know, and you have Adius, who's really just like your best friend in this mod. You know, he's a pretty chilled dude. You know, we're good friends. You know, you got Amon, the thief. You know, he had a cool backstory. He was pretty. I did do this off camera. I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention this. But Goblin. He missed. You know, there are these memorable characters. That's what I'm trying to get at. But off scrammer, I did talk to the thief, and he was like, "Oh, you know, I have big friends in big places. You know, I'm a High Breton. You know, fuck you." And you're like, "Okay, yeah, get the hell out of here. I kicked your ass." And it's just really cool. That's what I'm trying to get at. And I don't know how to get up here, and I'm really just that lazy. And of course you have Dar'Taqto, who becomes your follower, and he's you know, this sort of Robin Hood-esque character who, you know, is just trying to do good by the people, you know, trying to help people, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. That's bad, that's really bad. Whoever got that reference, you know, toppest meme to you. You know, it's just these memorable characters. And this guy whose name I'm actually not remembering right now, but it's at the College of Whisperers. The crazy guy who keeps calling Carlin, his name's escaping me right now. You know, the old senile man who's been living in the tower for like 50 years, trying to uncover its secrets. It's got these really good memorable characters where I think, in the case of Beyond Reach, it did have memorable characters, but they were all really tied to the main quest. Here, for instance, you have characters who are not tied to the main quest who are just still memorable. That's just good design. Not to harm Beyond Reach, I did give it a positive review, and it's a good mod. I recommend you all download it. But here, you know, and I think in part it's because Beyond Reach was, I think, developed by one person, which was a real an accomplishment on its own. And here, you know, you've got a dedicated group of developers who really know what the hell they're doing. So obviously I really can't truly make that sort of comparison because it's really a huge different labor force than what was available to Beyond Reach. But Beyond Reach is still a good mod. It had a really good main story. At any rate, let's talk about the cons. So obviously there are bugs, but I'm not necessarily counting this as a con per se. I say this because my frames are dying. Because the developers were really good at listening to the community and getting a fix up and running as soon as possible. And it was insane how fast it was working. If you guys remember, first, I think 2 or 3 episodes, you know, there was already a patch out. You know, and at that point the mod had been up for 4 hours and they had already found a patch. You know, and they kept consistently updating, you know, and fixing it all, and getting all the community input and pushing it through. And that is just good. These developers are really dedicated people, you know, and if it's the same for all the people of Beyond Skyrim, you know, Beyond Skyrim, Iliac Bay, Morrowind, etc., you know, then we're in for a real treat, because these people actually give a fuck about the community and are listening to us, you know, and they're just not sitting there, you know, twiddling their thumbs and not putting out a patch release, but instead they are busting their ass for nothing, essentially, and pretty much busting their asses collectively, speaking to the community. You can join their Discord server, I believe. I don't have a Discord account or anything, but supposedly you can join the Discord server and talk to the devs, which is something amazing in its own right, that these devs are just so forthright with the community. You know, they've got a Facebook page, you know, and they talk to the community, they respond to questions, they're present. You know, they're constantly present, they are constantly putting out bug fixes, and it's really to be commended. You know, and I think in part it's because of how big Beyond Skyrim was. You know, everybody, well, not everybody, of course, but a huge amount of people had heard of it. I had, obviously. I've been following this for, since, I think, 2015, 2014, and it's been really getting into it, really being hyped. You know, and I personally just love it. I love these devs. They're great people. You know, very, very kind, and just really good people. You know, and you really just don't, you know, they're just good people. You know, they bust their asses for us for nothing, and it bewilders me how they can do this. You know, you guys, sincerely, with the quality of world building and scripting, and being able to talk to the community, being able to really, you know, do things and help us, and, you know, tell us what your plans are, is something to be commended. Not many devs, professional developers even, can do something like that. You know, and you guys just have the right mindset. You guys, you can just do it. And it's just, it's amazing to see, because I just haven't seen it that much. But yeah, you know, this is how good this mod is that I'm turning the con section into a pro. Yeah, hi, dead body. So yeah, good on the developers for just everything. But more on the cons. We need to talk about, you know, there should have been, you know, sort of like more obvious with some of the border conflicts. Is what I'm trying to get at. The border conflicts are kind of weird. Like we saw earlier, Plum Rat Camp, I think that was it. You know, we're half, they could have fixed this, by the way. I have not checked with the new update. But, there's an invisible wall in half that camp. So, you know, some of the border conflicts just seem to be a tad odd. Obviously, I don't really think that's something we can really harm them on in the future. By the way, I gotta say the green parts here were really well done. But continuing forward, you know, I don't think we can exactly harm them, because eventually there aren't really going to be borders, and the borders are going to be a lot more overt than it is now. So there's that. But yeah, just the borders need to be kind of tweaked in this version of the mod, and I guess on the SE edition, just a tad. But besides the, you know, that, it's pretty good with the borders. The borders are logical within the counter. I also think that the mod, in general, needs just more unique items. I think that, again... Oh, we've already talked to this guy. I think that the unique items were just... There just needs to be more, I think. You know, I think that a huge portion of these items are very, centered around a sort of, warrior character. I think I only saw, like, 1 or 2 stabs, aside from the dinky stabs that we bought from Rosada, who, by the way, is hilarious. That's another character who I didn't mention, who's really memorable. He's hilarious. But the staff I'm thinking of is the Flamelight Spire. You know, I would just like to see more variety in the unique items. Obviously, we didn't do every quest or everything, but I got the general gist. I just think that there should be more unique items. I also think that in general, most of these quests, if you remember, just reward you with gold. You know, and I don't think that that is something that necessarily should happen in the long term. I think for the fetch quests, for, you know, some of the other quests, gold is a suitable reward. For like these main quests that you saw with Adius, that was a logical reward because you got things based on your progress. Is this a highwayman? Oh, it's Nedlum. I killed him off screen, but he's back. Dude, straight up.
Leave me.
Anyway. Back to what I was saying. Give me your clothes in your pair. That's the most important part. Is that, you know, with those sort of quests, these incremental rewards of the cash make sense. And, you know, you got unique items on the way, but I think some of the other side quests should have just had more unique items. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I would have liked to see more unique items just, you know, from quests. The next thing... Oh, yeah, I also had the crazy idea. Actually, I'll leave this for the end of the video, just general thoughts or ideas that I can just throw out to the dev. Oh yeah, I also thought that it might have been a good idea to just throw the first Fighters/Synod college quest out there. Obviously, technically we did, but, you know, in actuality, especially with the Fighters Guild, actually, I think it's really the Fighters Guild one that I'm thinking about. Is that I would have liked to see more expansion in that direction. I think, you know, with the Fighters Guild quest, it's just like, okay, put on some placards. Okay, great, Jim. You know, I would have liked to see, oh, there's some goblins who are harassing travelers down the road. Can you help? Oh, yeah, sure. I think, you know, having placards, you know, was okay, but I think you should have had that first quest be like okay, we still can't call you part of the Fighters Guild because of issues. But here, there are these goblins, and so you'd be paid like a Fighters Guild person. You can call yourself a representative of the Fighters Guild, and all that. You know, I would have liked to see that rather than just, you know, the sort of placards quest. And what is this place? Fort Horan. Oh, it's a scam. Oh my god. So there's that. But yeah, I would have liked to see, you know, really get a feel of what these guilds were all about before the major release of the mod, whenever that is. Oh, it's my intellectual friends. But yeah. So the next thing is that obviously we saw an Oblivion gate over somewhere that was unmarked with those necromancers. But I would have just liked to see more. Again, I don't know. I couldn't find the Great Gate, so I could be wrong here. But I would have liked to see the Great Gate still be present because, you know, again, that's a huge part of history. And I would have, you know, liked to see some Oblivion gates just out in the woods. You know, where one would logically spawn with the Oblivion sort of semi-random or pseudo-random spawning where, you know, there'll be like, I think it was like 72 gates, but they would only spawn as you get close to them. So you could only have a total of 72 gates in the game, plus the major gates outside the cities. You know, and you don't really need, like, all the gates. I think that would have been just a waste of time. But the real gate that I would like to see is the one outside Kvatch. And, you know, to see a sort of memorial or something like that near it. And, you know, just at least commemorating the fact that, oh, yeah, this happened. Because, you know, this is a huge part of history. I think that regardless of them rebuilding Kvatch, I don't think that they would have destroyed the Oblivion Gate. That's a huge part of history and a huge part of, you know, who the resettlers of Kvatch would have been, you know. That you know, this happened to us. It's part of the ingrained psyche of the people of Kvatch. So I think that, especially in Kvatch, that Oblivion Gate should most certainly be there. At least, in the very least, if it really got in the way of designing the gate, like the town gate, not the Oblivion Gate, you could at least put a memorial up. I think that would be just, I think you just need something. That's just personally, and I would have liked to see the Great Gate. Again, I couldn't find it, so I could be wrong, but I would have liked to see the Great Gate, or at least have a map marker of some sort. Yeah, so general ideas for as the modding goes forward is that I would like to see many different endings. Again, I don't necessarily know if that's true or not, but it does say Crown and Emperor, so I'm kind of filling in the gaps with multiple endings. With, you know, hypothetically Tharn as an Emperor, the Revolutionaries, and probably some other players, plural. So yeah, I don't know why this is on fire. I guess Akatosh is just such a cool guy, he just lights his stuff. Yeah, I would like to see multiple endings. I think that would really give this mod some serious spice, like Tabasco sauce spice. Like, especially Tabasco sauce. Maybe like, yeah, maybe like Tabasco, like Sriracha sauce, particularly. But I think that would really separate this mod from any other mods. Or to say, oh, we have multiple endings, you know, there's more room to maneuver, and you can have, with these multiple endings, different benefits for the player. You know, obviously the Tharns are very manipulative people. So, I don't know, maybe you get, like, you know, this sort of unique dagger, which, you know, when not in combat, and crouch, you go invisible and you stab people. I don't know, I'm just throwing out crazy ideas, friends. My other idea would most certainly be Minotaur or Ogre Companion. Now, hear me out. They don't need to be as big as they are in the real world. You can have them be player size. Have them be a little ogre, little Minotaur. You know, named Jeffrey. Okay, Roman. But you know, I would have certainly liked to see them. You know, especially like if you could get them in the arena. I don't know. I don't think I've actually mentioned the arena. I could be wrong. Who the fuck are you? Why are you here? Wait, are you the guy who? Hold on. I gotta. My knowledge.
You will last another 5 minutes.
Who the fuck? I think this crazy old man. Oh, it's just a fucking troll. Dude, get out of here. I'm pretty sure this is the guy from the town over there, but I don't know how he ran all the way over here. Jim, there's nobody else here. Alright, whatever. Anyway, Minotaur or Ogre Companion. You could have them go in the champion arena, you know, and at the end you're like, oh, I'm not gonna kill this fucking Minotaur I'm supposed to slaughter, because that's what was supposed to happen in Oblivion. Like, I'm not gonna kill him. Be like, okay, well, he's your pet now, or your slave, or whatever you wish to call him, if you believe they're sentient. So, yeah, I think that would be cool. Again, I think that the divide between regular and super followers is something that would be really cool and pretty neato. I also think that they're probably, I don't know how practical this is. I don't know if this is the direction that they would even want to try. But I was thinking cross-province quests. So obviously I'm not referring to Beyond Skyrim Iliac Bay and Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil having tying quests, because then that would be just a whole clusterfuck that nobody wants to necessarily get into. What I was referring to is in Skyrim, you know, say a dude in Cyrodiil's like, oh, I've got like family up in Skyrim, you know, they got like this huge potato farm they're growing. I need that potato for reasons that I cannot necessarily get into, but I will pay you top dollar for that large potato. And you're just like, okay, you crazy old man. And you just take the... Do you see what I'm saying? Like, doesn't need to be these stupid ideas that I'm throwing up, but I think a cross-province quest would be kind of cool. I think Stormcloak breakaways, for instance, could certainly, you know, you could establish a camp south of the fort, or no, I guess yeah, in the fort at Fort Pale Pass, and you know, just sort of set that up, and you know, try to do some raids on the Imperials. You know, here obviously, you know, they don't necessarily have much effect. You know, I think here that there was a lot more that they were going to do with the Stormcloak breakaways in this iteration of the mod, but it doesn't seem like, well, they were actually going to do anything with it. Here, that is. Because I know for a fact that I heard that if you do the Legion side of the quest, you have things, I think you have another quest to actually do. Well, obviously, with the Stormcloaks, you just murder people, which is always good. I'm always good in for a good murdering. But, you know, obviously, I would like to see the Stormcloak breakaways to be expanded upon, you know. Really get deep into their backstory. Why did they necessarily leave the Stormcloaks? Were the Stormcloaks, you know, too moderate? Were they for spreading Talos by the sword? Who knows? Who's calling me? Who knows? I don't know why people call me at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning. I think that's a pretty fucking stupid idea. You know, I just got off fucking work. I gotta end the recording. Anyway, after that grand interruption. But those are just some of my basic ideas. Again, you know, now I have to give it the legendary, what do I give the mod score? Why are there no stars out, you might ask? I don't know. But what do I give it? You know, I gotta say, I don't really give this out at all. But I think for the progress that is being made, and really just for everything that's present, I gotta give it a 10. 10 out of 10. You know, I mean, obviously, it's not obviously 100% complete. Gee willikers, who would have thunk? You know, they're going to be expanding upon it, but I think that with the dev team that we've been shown, you know, and who they are, you know, and what they can do, and how committed they are to this project, and really, and this is just, again, like a little demo, I guess you could call it, of further projects to come. And you know, they're serious. They're serious. This is a serious group of modders who know what they're doing. They care about their community they have created. They're constantly putting out bug fixes and all of this. And you know, and the sample content that we have been given was shown to, you know, have, you know, like really good storyline, interesting quests, interesting rewards. Would have liked to see more rewards. At least one follower. Unique world design, unique enemy design, custom voice acting, sound effects, soundtrack. By the way, that's really good. I don't know why it's not playing right now, but you get the idea. But, you know, this is a really dedicated group of modders, and they know what they're doing. That's what I'm trying to get at. And, you know, ultimately, it's good. It's just really good. You see that they know what they're doing. They're sincerely trying, and they have done a good job so far. And see what more they have to do. So, you know, 10 out of 10. I gotta recommend you guys to go download the mod. Again, they're not going to be updating for old Rim past, you know, the ultimate release for Bruma. So, you might want to just stick it out for the special edition. By the time this is uploaded, they might have the special edition version ready. Again, this is July 13th. They said it would be up really soon. It's going to be between the 1.3 and 1.4 patch. We're currently on 1.3. So I would expect it, I don't know, soon, relatively. So you might just want to pick up the special edition patch. Again, it's gonna. I have a really rough time playing the special edition without enhanced camera, and you know, my like face being like here, you know, and I'm like, oh, I'm a small man, but I'm like actually like 12 feet tall. You know, I don't know why default Skyrim kept the height of the Imperial, but whatever. You get the idea. So yeah, I gotta say 10 out of 10. I recommend you all go download the mod as soon as possible. I had a blast with it. The quests were all interesting. The characters were interesting. Custom rewards. It was just a great time, you know? So I gotta say 10 out of 10. Pick up the mod. Link is in the description. You know, thank you to the mod creators, the developers. You guys really busted your ass, and I think you're rewarded. You were rewarded. We were rewarded. Everybody was rewarded. At least $2.50. I don't know what that means, but yeah. it was a good time. So, link in the description. Good work, mod creators. Next time, we'll review more Skyrim mods with K. Roman. I don't know why the camera's not working. K. Roman. So thank you all for watching. Peace out, diggity dog. Plural. Z.